wasn't just with women, but everybody played pretty fair, I gotta say, considering the circumstances. And I think what happened, to answer your question about, yes, it's not okay that 77, 78, and 79 and the beginning of 80 are not being covered. No, I have not gotten to see that movie now. I think it's jinxed for me or something. I paid to go see it.
Oh, no.
And I sat there for 3 hours, and it was all these black and white films of Kelly Slater when he was 13 or 14 years old, which I think is great, but I had already seen it.
Whoa.
And then the friends I was with, they were like, we gotta go. And I'm like, am I not gonna get to see this movie now? And it's like, and then again, the other night it happened another time. So I didn't even know it was playing. I was doing a book signing for Jim, I figure, it's better to participate than to not.
Of course.
Jim's book. We were talking about Jim's book. Okay. So he invited me to be on one of his panels, and I thought, something fishy was going on. But anyway, apparently, and then after the book signing was over, there's all these people that still wanted to get book signs, and Jim and Shannon Eichman and Jericho, they all dug out. And I'm like, where'd everybody go? I'm always the last person to know what's going on as far as, but I stayed and talked to all the people, and they were all really nice. It was a super cool, those surf shops where they fix dings, they shape boards. They're like the old school, kind of like the one I grew up in. And I had a wonderful time. And then the next day I'm looking through my Instagram feed, and it's like, oh, I guess after the book signing, there was a film festival that showed that movie, Girls Can't Surf. And they didn't even tell me about it. So it was up in Newport, but I'd love to see it. I love all the women that are in it. Pam Burridge is a good friend of mine. Pauline was certainly someone that never got her true. She is getting it now, though, and it's really nice to see. And I actually wrote a story about Pauline back then, like the year she was the world champ, and it was about...
Amazing.
Yeah, but it was in a French magazine, so I don't have a copy of it. She can't find one either, so if you're ever in France, check it out. I don't know. Anyway, yeah.
You were also you got sponsored by Arena Clothing, correct? And you kind of broke ground, because then that all the male pros kind of followed suit, didn't they?
Yeah,
isn't that you kind of forged a way for the clothing sponsorships?
I did do that. I will take that. Thank you very much.
That.
No one ever recognizes that, but it was kind of like I had been working as a sales rep for some surfing products, like leashes, board bags, a little bit of everything, and then I'm that thing that touched it off was being in a contest at Sunset and wearing a bikini. So you've got all this, you got wind, rain, hail, mountains of water coming at you. You got competitors. And then if a wave hits you, your top falls off. So, and it happened to pretty much every one of us. So I'm like, there's got to be a better solution. I was watching the Olympics with my mom, and I was watching the swimmers. So, they take off, they jump off from the edge of the ledge there. I mean, it's not a 20-foot drop, but, hey, that suit looks like it's staying on. It looks like it. So I looked at the brand. It was Arena. Back then, it was all phone books. I looked them up in the phone book, in the yellow pages, the white pages. I found them. My mom and I were living in La Jolla at the time, and the Arena headquarters was right up in Huntington Beach. So being a sales rep anyway, driving up and down the coast to all the stores, I made a little proposal. I did have a couple shots in there, and I got an appointment with them. And they accepted me as a team rider.
Wow.
I did. There was a caveat. They wanted my, my database of all my clients because they wanted to start marketing in the surf shops. And it's a whole different animal than the Olympics at that time. Not anymore, though. But so, yeah, I'm pretty proud of that. So, yes, the next week I went down. There was a contest in Huntington. I had arena stickers on my board. I had a brand new bathing suit that wouldn't fall off. I was feeling pretty confident. And lo and behold, it was PT was the first one that went and approached them. And then Debbie Beecham approached them. And we had a great team. Actually, James Jones from Hawaii. He was also on our team. And
Booby Jones.
Yeah, he was a really awesome man. There's a really good example of a true Hawaiian waterman that never got, the allocates.
First person to get tubed at Waimea.
Absolutely. And a perfect gentleman. He's actually very soft-spoken, the nicest person you'd ever meet. He helped me. He coached me a lot when we were on the same team, helped me with Sunset Beach. Sunset Beach, it takes a lifetime to learn how to ride that place because it really, every day you go out there, it's different, which is cool. That's a big challenge. But, learning while you're competing is a really tough gig. But I have to say that it's also the biggest thrill. There's not going to be anything that'll ever feel like that again. I have no doubt about it. I really sought to align myself with the people that I wanted to be like. And so it's just like a slice of life. If you want to be the best, hang out with the best. If you want to be the kindest, hang out with the kindest. In the end, it all worked out. I think I was really lucky to get to do what I did, considering my father disowned me when I went on the tour in 1977. So
I was curious about this. Can we go back in time for a sec? Because you grew up.
I would love to.
Yeah, I know, right? But you grew up in New Jersey. Your brother got you into surfing, Pete.
Yes.
And but your family seemed extremely supportive of it. Your parents, your mom particularly, but your parents, they separated when you were about 12. Is that correct?
Yes. You did your homework, didn't you? Okay. Yeah. My parents were divorced when I was 12. It's a good thing. Actually, I was super stoked. We got an apartment above a surf shop.
Oh, wow.
So, it was a really good time for us, my brother, my mother, and I. It was a relief, actually. And my father's family was incredibly wealthy, but that wealth was lost, unfortunately. But it didn't matter to me. I kind of, watching the behavior behind the wealth, it made me not want to be around wealthy people. When you're 12 years old, you don't understand what rent and bills and all that stuff is. I just knew that I could go surfing before school now. My mom trusted me. I made promises to my mom, and I kept every one of them. And my brother always had my back, I felt it was a relief to me when that happened. I'm not saying it's an answer, and that was, it was not easy for my mom. I know that much.
Especially back then, divorce was very taboo, at that time.
Especially, with Roman Catholics and,
oh gosh, Italian, right?
Yeah, they're Southern Jersey Italians, so that owned a winery. So take a wild guess at what that was. And, I don't want to embarrass my brother or anything like that, so I'm not going to tell you the stories, but it was a good thing that we got to live above that surf shop. And my mom, it was really hard on my mom, though, financially. And so I just made sure she had incredible intuition. And she also, she came back from a Pennsylvania Amish Dutch background. I know, since you're on the, so we've got this one really peaceful, kind, loving person, and then we have an Italian, the raging Italian, and I was like, don't get me wrong, my dad had a great sense of humor. He had walking into a room and just have the whole room laughing, and so I have a little bit of that in me, and then I have a little bit of my mom in me, but I just, it needed to happen. We needed to break away from him just at that time period. And I felt just so relieved. And also just where we moved, I could ride my bike to surf on the boardwalk anywhere. And we had a group of friends, Ocean City. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Yep.
It's a barrier island. There's nothing. It's a beautiful spot, but it's bitter cold. And
tons of good waves, though.
There's really good waves.
When it's
there
good.
weren't any crowds back then. We had a group of about 10 or 12 of us. We all ride our bikes down the boardwalk and go surfing after school together.
And it was a mix of boys and girls. Like, it was fairly even, correct?
It was. It's amazing. So you can imagine, they were my little family. We were a little family, and it was just almost about 50-50 men and women. No disparity between the genders or discrimination. The little small town we came from started up a contest, the turkey trot. They'd have the polar bear, and it was all good fun. Free T-shirts and those little trophies where the arms break off. So you just
got a few of those.
But we loved it. We'd pile in. Munker, this guy named Munker, would drive us everywhere because he had his license and he had a van. So we'd all pile in the van and we'd go to Atlantic City to a contest over there. This is how it all started. And then this is how the ESA, or the Eastern Surfing Association, actually, this was the very beginning of it. Because Cecil Lear, the first contest he put on was at Belmar, which is like 3 exits up from Ocean City on the Garden State Parkway. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
So
yes,
it's like,
we do.
Yeah.
Secret spot.
It's a long ways, actually.
Yeah. If my mom didn't take us, then Munker took us all. And we'd go every weekend. So that was the beginning of the Amateur Eastern Surfing Association, ESA. So it's still there today, but there's just so many more of them that have taken over. Like there's,
but
yeah,
your mom was super supportive of it. Like, it was quite amazing, I think. Like, she would drive you to all the contests and really, really got behind you, it seemed. Like.
And also, let's set up the context of that era, right? Surfing is not like what it is now, where everyone's like, oh, it's so cool. Like, it still had a kind of edge to it. It wasn't something that everyone hailed as like, oh, this is a really great thing to pursue for, health and well-being and fun.
Yeah, it didn't have the Ken and Barbie look to it back then, but my mom was, like I said, an incredibly intuitive woman, and she saw how much it helped my brother and I, and how good it made us feel. And she also had been an athlete growing up. She played tennis, but she was supportive because she could see that it was helping my brother and I, and also the group of friends that we had. She was friends with all their parents, so it was a very supportive. I mean, instead of having coaches and trainers and all that, we had each other, which I think it's great today that they have so much support. But the support I had came from the heart, not the pocketbook. And it's like the difference was I was so driven to do well because I wanted them to be proven right. Because my dad's family came after my mom. You better believe it. They didn't really care about me. They just a woman does not divorce an Italian man in South Jersey. And, but she did. And we did fine. My mom's like, okay, we're all going to go to work. And that's like, I really loved it because I got to work in that Italian restaurant. It was an Italian family that didn't like my dad's Italian family. You know how that goes in South Jersey. So it was like, yeah, we got him now.
Capulets.
So my mom was so cool. Like, I always tried to follow my mom's the way she interacted with people. She was so fair to everyone. Like, I didn't really understand the discrimination thing till I left that place. Like, it wasn't a utopia, but it was, my mom, the guy that was the head chef at the restaurant, my mom needed some backup sometimes, like not backup, but just, how do I say this?